You know, where you are now is a result of your entire life's accumulation of stress. You know, sitting in that chair, you may or may not be demonstrating symptoms or which are possible outward signs of struggle within your body. But, you know, most people do come to the chiropractor expressing some degree of symptoms. Some are musculoskeletal, some might be things such as headaches, some might be gastric upset, allergies. There's a myriad of symptoms. Symptoms can be very misleading. We don't want to ignore your symptoms. That's not our goal. But what we want you to understand is that symptoms don't tell us how to take care of you. For that, we need to have objective findings. So I'm not going to poo-poo your symptoms. We wouldn't do that in the office. I can embrace that. But when we take care of you, it's all about finding out where you're out of balance, making the correct adjustment, finding the vertebral subluxation, which is an interference to the nerve system when two vertebrae adjacent to one another go out of alignment, cause pressure on nerves, and that interferes with the flow of energy from your brain to your body and from your body to your brain. So we need to be objective when we do that. Let's say you're driving your car and the check engine light comes on in your car. Well, you're going to say, well, I better get to the mechanic because I don't want this thing to blow up on me. You know, you want to get there before, you know, you have a major crisis, wouldn't you? So the idea is you go to the mechanic and he's going to say, okay, your check engine light's on, but to him that doesn't mean anything, doesn't tell him one thing. So he's going to put your car on a lift, he's going to break out his computers, he's going to use his diagnostics, he's going to use his gauges, so to speak, to figure out where the problem is, and he's going to narrow it down using objective findings. It's the same thing in the chiropractic office. I understand most patients come in with symptoms, but they really don't tell me how to take care of you. It's like if you've got a hole in a leak in your ceiling and water's coming through in your ceiling. Well, the leak in the roof might not be right where the ceiling is, right where it's leaking in the ceiling, could be at the other end of the house. So a patient might come in with lower back pain. They might come in with headaches. Well, the problem is where it is, not where you want it to be. It's where you find it to be. And the chiropractor then, just like the mechanic, is going to use gauges. Now, the chiropractor's gauges could be things like palpation, which is feeling. There's two kinds of that. One is static, feeling while the patient's still. Another is motion palpation, feeling how the joints move. Another could be instrumentation, measuring heat differential from side to side in the spine. That's really effective as well. Another is leg check analysis. The chiropractor will look for a leg length discrepancy, and what he'll do is then have you turn your head from side to side, see if the leg length changes. He'll take the legs from an extended position and bend your knees to see if a short leg goes long or if the short leg stays short. So what he's looking for is changes in your physiology relative to what he's asking you to do. You know, I tell every one of my patients, I'm not smart enough to heal you. I really am not. I was not president of the science club or anything. But the deal is, what I've learned to do through chiropractic is listen to the body and analyze where there is interference. And that's what your chiropractor will do too. He's going to find out where the subluxation is. He's going to analyze your physiology, find out where the interference is, independent of your symptoms. That's a key concept. So even for myself, I have to get it reinforced. I don't know what my symptoms mean. I really don't. I had a accumulation of stresses in my life, getting back to that, born with forceps, toboggan accidents, motorcycle crashes, car wrecks, playing rugby. I remember playing rugby, tackling a guy, both arms going numb, jog back, get in position, do it again. We had a real rough coach back in those days. But anyway, the idea is that I wound up in October of '09, and plus 30 years of adjusting and being a chiropractor, which is pretty physical. In October of '09, I wound up with an accumulation of stress that resulted in a herniated disc at C6 in my neck. Excruciating pain, came seemingly out of nowhere, woke up with it, but it wound up, I lost 1 inch in size in my right arm, my chest muscles went to mush, I had total paralysis in my right arm. I could only lay on my back with my arm like this. So what did I do? I went back to basics. I went back to my upper cervical chiropractor, Dr. Margaret Banish, an hour away. So I would have to be driven there. And the first day I went, she adjusted my atlas vertebrae, and immediately driving home, my body went through some intense changes. I didn't know what to make of them. And as I'm driving home, I could feel my whole spinal cord kind of unwinding. And I just said, wow, this is good. I knew this was good, even though it felt really strange. But on the way home, I knew I was going to be on my way to healing. I went back 2 days later, still in just as much pain. My arm was still numb. I hadn't gotten any tone back in my arm. I went back to Margaret. She checked me with the instrument that measures heat differential. She analyzed me with leg check analysis. She determined my spine was clear. I did not have any nerve interference at that point. She says, you're clear. We got to give it more time. Leave it be. See, you think because you got symptoms, you got to be adjusted. Well, that's not the case. What we want is your spine to clear. Then it's a matter of time, your body replacing damaged cells with healthy cells over time, because it took time to break down too. It takes time to regenerate and repair. Healing happens on a cellular level. It takes time. So I went back every other day for a period of another 2 to 3 weeks, and my spine still held the initial first adjustment. Now that doesn't always happen. That's not always the case, but in my case it was. But what I had to accept was I was still in pain, but my body was healing, and you got to give it the time. So that was a big learning thing for me, and I feel I could actually come from a greater position of authority with my patients after what I had been through. And you know what? Everything happens for a reason. You just have to adapt and overcome. So getting back to where you are today, sitting in this chair, maybe contemplating chiropractic as an alternative or truly a mainstay for your health, you're wondering what your symptoms mean. Well, the key thing is healing takes time. It took time for your body to break down and accumulate weakened cells as opposed to healthy ones, eventually manifesting in symptom complex. But, you know, the important thing to remember is that given the time, your body will heal if you keep your body in a healing environment. And that's the job of the chiropractor. His job is to find that interference to your health potential, the subluxation, and through the adjustment, correct that subluxation, giving your body the potential to heal. Now, sometimes symptoms don't go away as quick as you might like them, and sometimes you may even have situations where you might feel worse or you might have a different symptom. But the key thing is you got to stay on track. You got to be like Christopher Columbus sailing west. You know, he didn't see land for months and the crew was freaking out, but he kept sailing his course for going west, and eventually he hit land. So you got to stay persistent. You've got to be consistent with your adjustments and give it the time. Talk to your doctor. He has a wealth of information for you. He'll be able to answer all your questions. So have a great day.